Shalom Chaverim. It's Wednesday night here in the district. We had a very pleasant July day. And before we begin my last presentation on making America good again, not great, but much more important that we make America good. But before we do number 11, originally the idea was 10, and then as it got moving, there were different lists that I came across from Rabbi Fred Reiner and the Reform movement that I belong to, and there was an 11th. So we're going to end with the 11th. But before we begin, really good news. Here in the district, Maryland and Northern Virginia, which somebody affectionately decided to call the DMV, we now have the worst traffic in the United States. Eat your heart out, Los Angeles. You used to be number one. Los Angeles, you're number two. Yes, the DMV has the worst traffic in the nation. Now, for those of us as individuals, that's not a good thing. The time it takes to go somewhere, the time it takes to do something. You always have to add extra time. So for individuals, it's not good. However, for the region, it's terrific because that means there's business, goods are being moved on the highways, people are going to jobs, people are employed. It means people are going shopping. It means people are going on vacation. So this is another one of those, is it a good thing or a bad thing? And it really depends on the perspective. If we didn't have any traffic, that would mean there were no jobs. That would mean no business. That would mean restaurants would close. So it's really a good thing that we have the worst traffic in the United States for our economy. But it's not a good thing for us as individuals. I just wanted to put that out there. I thought that was a neat observation, and it was neat that they released the figure today. Also, before we begin, I put in too much cranberry juice and not enough ice. Another thing I noticed, that the 10 Commandments are being posted in some of the United States. I'm thrilled. I've said this before. I'm thrilled on several reasons. I'm thrilled because my Christian colleagues, my Christian politicians have chose to honor Judaism. You see, they chose the 10 Commandments. In Judaism, we consider them so important that they're called the 10 utterances. We emphasize them. We hold them up as a special. There are 613 commandments in Judaism, but there are only 10 utterances, the 10 Commandments. I mean, my Christian colleagues, my Christian brethren, they could have chose the Sermon on the Mount from the New Testament. They could have picked the Beatitudes from the New Testament. But they chose to pick the 10 Commandments, the 10 utterances from the most sacred of Jewish literature. So I would like to thank a number of individuals for honoring Judaism with all the material out there by choosing to pick 10 utterances from our most sacred literature, the Torah. So thank you. Okay, now, number 11, religious freedom, the separation of church and state. And that's become rather controversial. But I think it's important and significant that it is our 10th step in making America good again. Our three Abrahamic religions have always emphasized and taught religious freedom for all no coercion. Now, that's not to say that within Judaism or Islam or Christianity, there were individuals that tried to force conversion. We don't want to make the mistake of generalizing and saying and point to them and say, oh, look, this happened, this Christian, this Jewish group, oh, these Muslims. We don't want to make the mistake of pointing to those outliers, to those extremes who chose to violate their values. Let me emphasize that again. Within Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism, when any individual or group of individuals chose to force conversion on others, they were violating the values and the teachings of their own religion. And I've seen people throw it out there as if it's integral, if it's basic. And what we're going to see this evening, it's not. Not. India, the birthplace of Hinduism is a secular state. A constitution that guarantees religious freedom. Now, as I said, there are historical instances of religious intolerance. However, that's not consistent with Hinduism. Well, Judaism. There are 12 million Jews in the known universe. You would think that there were billions of Jews, given the accusations and the charges, and that we have a secret base on the dark side of the moon. We control the weather. We control all the banks. You would think. So, take out your calculators. Tell me what percentage of the population of the known universe is 6 million. So let's just do Earth. Take the population of planet Earth. What percentage is maybe 9 million, 8 million people? I'm not even sure where to put the decimal point. There's not many Jews. And so, as a minority, Judaism has never sought converts. Judaism has never forced conversion. Judaism has always supported your religion. And we believe that the government should support all religions because it's in the best interest as Jews. Because, as we know, as a minority, generally minorities are the first to be singled out, rounded up, and sent to some unpleasant places. Historically, that's true. Usually you go after the fringes, the margins. And so it's always been in the best interest of Judaism to promote religious freedom and a separation of church and state. No good has ever come from a church religion being the religion of the state. We can look at the War of Roses, the 1,000 Years' Wars. We can look at Scotland, Ireland, England. We can look at France. We can look at Germany. We can look at Italy. Historically, wherever there has been a national religion and people are forced or expected to follow it, the country hasn't lasted and it didn't have a good outcome. Judaism teaches that all nations have a place in the world to come. Heaven is not just for a select few. Judaism teaches there's a place for all of you. And that's why these programs, Make America Good Again, is so important. Because Judaism teaches, live Jesus, live Muhammad, follow the teachings of the Buddha, become a Hindu. If you follow, there's a place for you. For all peoples will walk each in the name of its God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever. That's from the prophet Micah. There it is. Leviticus, the stranger who resides with you shall be to you as a native among you. All right, there you have it. mutual respect, pluralism, follow the values of your religion, and there's a place in heaven for you. Christianity, Jesus states in Matthew, give to Caesar that which is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. Basically citing the separation of church and state. And I would say that to my Christian friends who think so highly of Judaism, that you picked one of our most sacred texts from our most sacred document, from the Torah. You chose the Ten Commandments, which shows you acknowledge the importance of Jewish teachings. But I'm pointing out Matthew, separation between the secular and the religious. True faith, Jesus taught, must be voluntary. All people have basic dignity and the right to choose the truth. Behold, I stand at the door and knock, from the book of Revelations. Faith is not forced. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, quietly walk away. No force, no guns, no weapons. Luke, here it is. Jesus rebukes disciples who suggest, they're not doing it, they suggest punishing non-believers. Jesus rebukes them. The epistle to the Romans. Let everyone be fully convinced in their own mind. It's all voluntary in Christianity. It's voluntary in Judaism. Now, being a missionary is a good thing. Let's teach about democracy. Let's teach about all our religions without coercion. It's about free choice. And therein lies a problem, because there are some missionaries who would take away the freedom, would take away the choice, and try to make it coercive. And I would remind them of Luke chapter 9, verse 54, where Jesus rebukes those who suggest punishing those who are not coming into the fold. Nothing wrong with teaching, nothing wrong with pamphlets, nothing wrong with giving out information, as long as it's voluntary and that your message is not coercive and that your literature is not coercive. Once it becomes coercive, you're on your own, because don't tell me that Jesus told you to do that. Don't tell me that that was a Jewish teaching. Nope. Oh, hey, Muhammad referred to the Jews as the people of the book. Autonomy. The Quran, Surah 2. There shall be no compulsion in acceptance of the religion. The right course has become clear from the wrong. However, one's free to choose. Islam emphasizes no compulsion in religion and recognizes the validity of the previous revelations. Islam recognizes Moses. Islam recognizes Jesus, prophets, teachers. The Quran grants freedom of belief and respects religious. But again, that's not to say that there aren't individuals in Islam who would coerce, who would murder, who would kill, who would punish, who would deport. I'm not saying that those people don't exist. And don't make the mistake of holding them up and saying, oh, that represents Islam. It doesn't represent Islam. It represents a group that want to use religious teachings for their own power and control. Faith must be sincere and cannot be coerced. And the people of the book, Jews, were protected under Islamic law. Quran, Surah 2, there is no compulsion in religion. The Quran, Surah 109, To you, your religion, and to me, mine. No? Believe or disbelieve. The Quran teaches this is the way we'd like to present it to you. And you're free to be a follower or not be a follower. And we're going to let you. And in the end, for Judaism, Christianity, Islam, for the three Abrahamic religions, God will make the decision in the end. It's not up to us to say they're wrong, they're going to hell, they're bad, we have to convert them. No. Make no mistake. That's not integral to the Abrahamic faith. That's a corruption by some individuals who want power and control. Okay? Islam upholds religious freedom as a divine principle, and Islam is presenting its truth. It's that simple. And whenever we look at the best times under Islamic rule, religious minorities were protected through a legal framework. Buddhism, what can I say? It's the epitome of peace, spreading peace. Buddhism emphasizes individual spiritual practice. Yeah. Religious freedom. If you have a state religion, then you can't have religious freedom. And again, make no mistake, when the state declares an official religion of the state, it's not going to be yours, and yours won't be tolerated. Not good. Not good for anyone. Someone just wrote they're going to honor me by creating a song, and they're going to call it "A Jewish Man Stuck in a Christian Body." I have a suggestion. Spiritual. There are no Jews, there are no Christians. There are outward practices of our faith. There are outward practices of our beliefs. But in the end, we're spiritual beings connecting with the One. With God. With the One. Buddha said, test my teachings. Buddha said, don't believe me. Imagine that. He said, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to take my teachings, look out the window, and see if they work. To see if they make sense to you. Wow. What an incredible teaching. I would say the same about Judaism. There's no need to convert or not convert just to get to heaven. You're going to go. God accepts all of us. But take a look at Jewish teachings. Do they resonate with you? Do they make sense to you? Well, maybe you want to consider converting. But look at Christianity. Do the teachings of Jesus make sense to you? Do they help you unite with the One? Well, maybe you want to become a Christian. Islam. The truths. If you see them as the truths, if they work for you, seek out someone, follow Islam. I would say that about all our faiths. All the faiths we've been looking at. Do they work for you? I would take this basic teaching of the Buddha. Don't blindly accept anything. Do they make sense? Now, someone just said, you follow the Talmud. I understand the question. The Talmud is a book of debate and discussion of the oral law. It's not an end-all. We have no Jewish police. There's nothing you have to follow it. Nothing bad will happen. And so the Talmud is contradictory. It gives both the minority and majority opinion. It gives both opinions for all the debates. And so people keep bringing up Israeli politics, and I've said it over and over again. I do not agree with Israel's politics today. It's not Jewish. They're not sticking to Jewish faith. However, Israel is a country, and it has a parliament, a Knesset. And people voted the Knesset in, just like we voted for our president, and our Senate, and our House. And so, Israel is not following Jewish teachings. I've said that before. However, it's a country. It has a right to exist. Israel has a right to defend itself. Ukraine has a right to defend itself and not roll over. Okay? Someone said, can I borrow 50? Yes. Please, email me, rabbiblock@hotmail.com, your social security number, your bank, the bank's routing number, and the account that you want me to send the $50 to. And as soon as we're done, I will transfer $50 to your account. As soon as you do that. Now, someone just asked about joining live. The answer is yes. Yes, Bashir. I would love to co-host with you next Wednesday night. Send me an email, rabbiblock@hotmail.com. I'll send you the link to my Zoom room and the password. And we can discuss our topics and how we'll discuss and how we'll present, because there'll be two of us, and we don't want to walk all over each other. So the answer is yes to whoever just said that they want to co-host next week. I look forward to getting an email from you. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, people keep pointing out about Israel being a modern country in the modern world, and how do you survive in the world? How does Saudi Arabia survive? How do the Emirates survive? How does Iran survive? Iran is certainly not the old country of Persia, and Russia, Canada, the United States, all countries. And I would have hoped Israel would have followed Jewish teachings, but they didn't. The government didn't. And so, okay. The Buddha taught, do not go upon hearsay, but upon your personal experience. Compassion, not compulsion. Hatred does not cease by other hatred. Hatred ceases through love and understanding and acceptance. Freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, any form of conversion is incompatible with the teachings of the Buddha. Hinduism. Hinduism itself is a diverse tradition. It has a long history of incorporating various beliefs and practices. Now, historic conflicts have occurred. However, the philosophic underpinnings always have been accept the various different paths to truth. Hinduism teaches truth is one, paths are many. There are many paths to the truth. So, by nature, Hinduism is pluralistic. There are many paths to the divine. And I've said that before. You have to find out what resonates to you. So before condemning, before attacking, find out. Any one of you that would like to know more about Judaism, rabbiblock@hotmail.com. No charge, no obligation. I'll be glad to talk with you. I'm retired. I have plenty of time. I love dialogue. I love talking. I love teaching. No coercion, no guilt, no threats. Some of these questions would be great, and I would love to discuss them with you personally, because they need more of an answer than I can just give in a soundbite. That's Hinduism. Freedom to explore. Truth is one. The sages call it by many names. Again, just like with the Abrahamic religions, God will decide, not us. Render Caesar unto that which is Caesar's, and render God unto that which is God. Separate religion from politics. And we're watching now how nasty it's getting in our own country when people want to mix religion with politics. Let's have our input. Let's talk to our politicians about values and their religious values, our religious values. However, let's not try to make them into laws, because it won't have a good outcome. It won't. No way will it lead to anything good. Respect for others. Faith must be freely chosen. Freedom of belief affirmed. Diversity is God's will. Tolerance. Free inquiry. Pluralistic. Celebrate religious diversity. That's our 11th step that'll make America good again. I respect your religion. Respect my religion. Let's learn about it. And let's all agree that the state of Israel is not living up to Jewish values. It's not living up to a lot of the values. I'm a big supporter of 2 states, 2 countries, each one recognizing the validity of the other one to exist. Not one country existing to destroy the other country. It's not written into Canada's constitution or Mexico's constitution to destroy the United States. So there's our models. 2 countries, a Palestine and an Israel, cooperating, sharing, living together. Not one pushing the other one aside, not one taking the other one's land away. I don't accept that. But I'm an American, and Israel is making the decisions it's making. And Israel has a right to exist. And so, here we are. Ukraine has a right to exist, and Russia has a right to exist. How do we do this? Well, that ends my series. However, a word from our sponsor. How to be Jewish in 30 seconds. And I've mentioned before, the cartoons alone are worth the price of my book, or our book. So Joe Sutliff is the cartoonist. And this is what Joe and I envision for our YouTube channel, The Rabbi and I. And this is what I envision for what my studio on TikTok would look like. Instead of what you see, here it is. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting. And again, don't hesitate to contact me if you want to be a guest, if you want to be a co-host, or I can help you in any way with your quest. I don't get bonuses, and I don't work on a commission. So if I talk to you and you become Buddhist, you become Hindu, you decide to follow Islam, I don't get it deducted from my pay. And if you decide to be Jewish, I don't get a bonus. And the person that asked me for $50, I'm going to watch for you to send me your social security number, the routing number, and the account number where I'm to send your money. And as soon as I see it, you'll have your $50. Thank you all for listening. And we'll see what comes up for next Wednesday night. Lila Tov.